Hello everybody and welcome back to Juno New Origins, where we need to do our landing burn here, and we're not quite in a perfectly circular orbit. I think the apoapsis is actually well placed to do this. It's the highest point of our orbit, and I'm concerned about our thrust to weight as we come in on the lander, so I want a longer burn time. So that is ideal both in timing and in the overall position here, right? So I want to burn sometime around here, and I want to burn off, this is mostly as a timer, but I want to burn off, thanks Windows. I don't have viruses, apparently. Excellent. I want to burn off all of the remaining thrust in this lander stage, right? So let's just lock the planned burn, and let's execute that burn for now, but I don't actually want to necessarily execute this burn. So let's get rid of this, and we'll do it like that. So I just want to have this be on locking velocity retrograde. There we go. So we can see that our lateral velocity here is 1.45 kilometers per second. And we need to get a lot of that gone. No doubt about that. We know we're not going to get any help from our parachutes because they are set up for atmospheric pressures that are on Drew, not on Silero. And we didn't really plan to land on them anyway, so that is fine for now. Okay, so this stage is burned out, and we are now on our lander stage. And you can see our thrust to weight is 1.11. Let's accelerate this up to 2x speed for right now, because this is going to be a fairly long burn here as we work on entering. And we just need to slow down enough, right? That's all we need to do. I think our thrust to weight is going to be fine as long as we start our burn up high enough. The question is, would we have to raise up our apoapsis in order to safely touch down here? I don't know. That'll definitely be interesting. Well, for the moment, we can see that our lateral velocity is down under a kilometer per second, and we're mostly working on that lateral velocity right now. You can see that our vertical velocity is increasing at this moment, and we may want to counteract that a bit more due to our low thrust to weight. We'll see what that ends up looking like. We have entered the atmosphere at this point, so that means that we are getting some amount of atmospheric drag. And we're down to Mach 2.7 at this moment. We're still about 35 kilometers up. I'm watching our vertical speed, and I'm thinking, honestly, I kind of want to counteract that a little more. That is decreasing our... Hang on. Okay, our vertical speed is decreasing here, as is our lateral speed. Okay, so we're counteracting that a little more. I would prefer to be burning on pure retrograde at this time, but I feel like we need to be counteracting this a bit. We are currently at about 20 kilometers above the surface. I actually feel like we need to be counteracting this vertical speed a lot more. So this indicates that we need to come from higher up. Most likely. Okay, you can see here, this is still very slightly reducing our vertical speed. Very slightly. This is problematic, for sure. We are reducing our Mach numbers, so that's, you know, nice. And our thrust to weight is up to 1.42, which is decent, I suppose. But we're moving way too fast here. We're going down too quickly. Okay, so we're down to 185 meters per second here. I would really, really like to have this vertical speed be basically gone at this point. Unfortunately, that's not the case. We still have way too much lateral speed as well. We're down to Mach 1.3, so, you know, that's something anyway. And, I mean, I'd love to actually have these chutes activate, but that's not going to happen, I don't think. 99% sure about that. So, yeah, this is indicating that we're going to need to raise our apoapsis more. 1.5 thrust to weight should feel a little better than this, I would think. But, I mean, this is Juno, this isn't KSP, so things are going to be a little different. We got down below Mach 1 there, but yeah, there you can see. Boom. We were still moving vertically pretty quickly there, and still moving laterally pretty quickly too. So that means that we need to raise our apoapsis a little bit, which is a little bit odd for sure. This is going to take us back to our save point, and that is fine. So at this point, we need to raise our apoapsis, which means we need to do a burn at the periapsis, and I'm going to bring this up to 100 kilometers. So that's going to be a very, very small burn here, and I just want to... Sure, that's close enough. 20 meters per second there. Okay, let's do it. And actually, this is within the atmosphere, isn't it? It is. Because we're within the atmosphere right now. The amount of drag that we're going to experience is low, but this is going to be in about 7 minutes? In that case, what we should actually do is pull this back here. Come here at the apoapsis, raise this up to be like 50 kilometers or so. So that's a very minor 1 meter per second burn there. Okay, we needed a little more than that. There we go. That'll do. Then we come to the periapsis, and we prograde this up to about 100 kilometers, like that. 20.2 meters per second sounds great. Go ahead and execute that. Now we're not going to have to warp through all of that. Not that that atmosphere would have given us much drag. We would have been able to counteract it with no problem. But then we can try to come in at 100 kilometers here with a retrograde burn, and I'm mostly just using this as a timer here. So go ahead and execute that burn, but we're going to delete the burn, and we're going to execute it here. So this is burning quite a bit higher up, which gives us more burn time. Now, this is normally not good because it means we're going to have more gravity to get rid of on the way down, right? We're going to have to fight gravity longer. But when we have low thrust to weight like this and we need to burn fuel, this is the way to go. So I'm just going to keep us burning prograde, or rather retrograde, here for now. Burning prograde would be a terrible idea. And we're going to get rid of as much of this fuel as we can. Now, another idea is that we could transfer fuel from here down to here. We may try that if this doesn't work, but this will likely work. We were pretty close last time, and this is starting 40 kilometers higher. So this is almost twice as high as we started our burn previously. So let's see how this goes. We do have about 5.5 kilometers per second in this, which should be plenty to at least get us back into orbit here and run a rescue mission. So that should be fine. This is definitely feeling very, very different from like a... why am I blanking the name of the Mars analog in KSP? This is definitely feeling very different from landing on that. I'm coming up with dress, and that's not the right one. It's clearly been too long. Okay. Well, this is feeling very different in terms of landing. No doubt about that. And a big part of that, actually, is because of the way that the parachutes work. Normally in KSP, we would be able to manually deploy the parachutes, whether they're at the designated pressure or not. And that's not the case here. I want to be locked to retrograde. Thank you very much. Okay, so what's our current lateral speed? It's looking decent. You can see that our vertical speed is increasing. We're at almost 300 meters per second vertically. But as our lateral speed goes down, we're going to be turning more and more vertical here, and this should not be a problem. Assuming that we... Oh, for a second there, I saw our vertical speed go down, but it's going back up now. Okay. Well, we're definitely starting to counteract that gravity somewhat. and putting some fuel into that. Very soon, our lateral velocity will drop down below our vertical velocity, and that's a really good sign when that happens. Yeah, our vertical velocity is decreasing now. You can see here, this is exactly what we needed to do, is just come at this from a higher position. Cool. We're already down to 400 meters per second here. This is much, much better. So raising this up was the exact correct call. Already down to Mach 1.3. Yeah. We're in atmosphere right now. That is helping us to slow down, and you can see mostly we have vertical speed at this point. We're still 30 kilometers up here, so this is looking very good. We're moving pretty slowly at this point, and we want to continue to slow this down. Our lateral speed is very close to gone at this juncture, and our vertical speed is starting to come down a lot as well. 30 meters per second laterally. 20. 10 lateral meters per second. Okay, we are slowing down too much at this time. So I'm going to let us drop down a bit. And we'll start up our burn again here fairly soon. Maybe at about 12 kilometers or so. I don't know. 13 and 12. Okay. Commencing the burn again. We definitely do need to be burning at this time. I may have coasted too long. Five kilometers above the ground level. Okay, let's burn a little bit more gently here. So we want our thrust to weight to be slightly positive here. So around here or so. Maybe a little lower than this. Yeah, somewhere around here. We're only moving at about 20 meters per second. I'm going to let us drop a little bit. We're 3 kilometers up. And burning again. We're 2 kilometers up right now. Okay. I'm going to hold us about here for the moment. I want to be slowing down slightly. Excellent. This is kind of rough terrain, it looks like, but hopefully we'll be okay. We're moving at about 17 meters per second. I'm going to slow our descent a little bit, or rather, stop slowing our descent quite as much. This is going to be increasing. I'm just holding it right here for now. Extending landing legs. Okay, we are slowing. 7, 6, 5, 4. Okay, holding here for right now. Ooh, we just ran out of... Ooh, okay, that was awkward. We ran out of fuel in our side tanks right as we were coming in for the landing. We have landed on Silero. I don't know that we can take off again, but we have landed. So that's something. That was possibly the most awkward time possible to run out of fuel. So we've got these here. Okay. I'm just thinking about how we might be able to get ourselves back horizontal. Okay, so, or rather back vertical. This is really, really awkward for us, but our gimbaling makes things interesting. We can gimbal quite heavily. The question is, if we were to try to ski up this, would we be able to get out? I'm going to quick save here, just in case anything goes really strangely. I do want to hop out here, so I want Yuri to EVA. Okay, so Yuri has EVA'd here. And the question is, and yeah, I am just interested in walking a little bit on Silero here. Okay. There we go. So that's fine for the moment. The question is, can he get this back vertical? I highly, highly, highly doubt it. So I don't think there's any good way to do that. Let's just enter again. And like I said, I'm going to quick save here. We've got a bit of a ramp right here. Now we have a couple of options. We can attempt to move some fuel out here to utilize these as well, or we can just kind of go for it. Okay, so we're not actually selecting the correct part. Okay, now we are. So the question then becomes, if we try to go this way, right? Okay, what I really want to do is I want to pitch us up like this, right? Whoa. That just spontaneously combusted. Okay, that's interesting. Let's try a quick load. Huh. I definitely didn't expect it to spontaneously combust there. Okay, so we want to have our pitch be, or rather our heading be about here. This is fine. And then we would like to make it out of here, right? So we need to select the correct part. That tends to help. Okay. So this puts us here, right? And then we can shut down, but we just spontaneously exploded earlier. I'm thinking about retracting the landing legs. And I'm not sure what we're caught up on, but we can also try jettisoning these. Okay. Ooh. Hang on. This is really awkward. Okay, so we're just kind of chilling here, and then I shut off the engines, and it just exploded again. So there's definitely some interesting things going on here in terms of the physics. This is very different from how it would have worked in KSP. And I think we're going to have to try to come up with a different solution here. So, what solution are we going to do? Hang on. We lost a drogue chute there. That's not great. We're getting hung up very much on the terrain here. Very, very much. Okay, we lost one of those fuel tanks. That's understood. Okay. That's intriguing. And this thing very much doesn't want to try to bring itself back up to verticality. So we have a couple of options here overall in terms of how we might want to do this, right? We could bring in another one of these, do it again, land precision in this location. And that's an option. I'm not sure it's a great one. I'm going to have the fuel drain in here and out here for right now. And now we're going to try to light this up, like so, and do it with all 4 of these engines lit. Or rather, all 6 of these engines lit. Okay, we're definitely hooking on the ground. We lost one of those fuel tanks. Ooh, okay. That wasn't great. Wait. Wait. Ooh. Almost. We lost one of our engines, but actually, that kind of worked. Okay, let's put our heading at, 0 would be ideal. Where is this? We need to bring it around to here. Okay. We don't have to actually get this back. We just got to get it into orbit, right? Our thrust to weight isn't great because we ended up losing that there, but that's fine. We've got one solar panel left. This is going 100% according to plan. We're not accelerating very quickly at all. So that's not ideal. I'm noting our fuel right now and how much delta V we have left. It should be relatively okay, I think. As long as we can get back up into space, we can run a rescue mission much more easily. So I think this is fine. But this is going to be interesting. That was literally the worst possible time to lose fuel on those side stages. I should have been paying closer attention. That's on me. But that was optimally bad. Okay, so what's our apoapsis right now? Noted. I want to keep building up that apoapsis for the moment. So you can see our thrust to weight is increasing here. This is definitely not how we planned to take off, but it should work. In theory. Okay, so we're going to be hitting an apoapsis of 20 very shortly. There we go. That's an apoapsis of 20. I'm going to bring us over to a pitch of 45 degrees, and, I mean, our thrust offset is a little awkward for sure. That's causing us some inefficiencies, but it's probably okay. As long as we get back into orbit, we can run a rescue mission. It does not matter because the contract's completed. So we can go in here and we can see, yeah, it's completed. There's nothing to do there. So we can run a rescue mission if we can limp this back into orbit around Silero. And we don't have to worry about timing on it either. We can do it fairly efficiently. We wouldn't have to worry about landing either, so that'll save us a fair amount of money. But I'm wondering if we could maybe bring this back to orbit around Drew. That would be absolutely ideal. I don't know about that, though. That seems pretty ambitious. Okay, so our apoapsis is currently about 40 kilometers. At this point, I want to be at a 15-degree pitch. So let's bring that down. This was the most awkward Silero landing, but honestly, it kinda worked. Kinda. Really, really, really awkward. No doubt about that. But sure. So we can see that our apoapsis is just about out of the atmosphere at this point. So we can definitely achieve orbit around Silero. The main question is, what about a return trip to Drew? Will we have enough DV for that? And actually, I think maybe we will. I do not want to attempt a landing on Drew. All we've got is 2 drogue chutes. So I don't think that's a good idea, but we could definitely do a rescue mission in Drew orbit. So our apoapsis is at this point high enough. Let's just burn at 0 degrees, and let's bring this up to a 100-kilometer apoapsis. So that'll be fine, and as far as time to return here, it does not matter. So that looks good. We're down to 30% fuel remaining, although that's, you know, fully expected. We've got about 2 kilometers per second here. We would have had a lot better if we had not had this be so awkward, but it's fine. So this is now 70-kilometer apoapsis and starting to go up very quickly. So that is 90. And engine shutdown. 101. Looks good. So now at the apoapsis here, we are in a polar orbit. Okay, I did not expect a polar orbit. I put our heading at 0. Which is north. Right, I wanted to put it at 90. That's my own fault. I assumed that 0 was east, but no, that's not how that works. Okay, that's my own fault then. We're in a polar orbit. That's going to make things interesting. But we'll just circularize this. That means that we burn more fuel than we needed to, for sure, to get to this point. But it's fine. We can get into orbit. It doesn't matter. We can run a rescue mission no matter what from here. The main question at this point is, how much further can we get? Ooh. That thrust offset. Okay. So that's noted. How much further can we get before we need to run a rescue mission? So plan burn at the periapsis here, and we can just push this up and escape from Silero. So that's going to be about 700 meters per second, and that's going to put us into this inclination. Okay, so I want to check Drew here. We'll set Drew as target. Actually, that is not bad for a transfer window. It's going to be interesting to dial it in. No doubt about that. Okay, so we would need to come in something like this. Let's turn that sensitivity down at this point. This is 916 meters per second. I'm a little concerned about the thrust offset, but that's definitely interesting. Let's bring this down with a little bit of inclination change. Okay, that's starting to go up again. So a little more radial, little more inclination. Okay. That lost efficiency very quickly indeed. So that's looking decent there as far as the distance goes. Okay. Can we get this down to about 100 kilometers? That massively overshot. Okay. So let's do this back this direction. We're getting thrown around by the moons right now. Okay. I think we need to do a little bit of this. Yeah. Okay. So the question is, how precisely can we hit this? I don't know. We're going to have some thrust offset. To be honest, I think that at this point, we should shut down this engine. That'll fix our thrust offset. Our thrust to weight is going to be low, but I think that's fine. So let's go ahead and execute this burn. That'll be a 1.9 minute burn, and that should return us back to Drew. This is now saying 45.1 megometers. Okay, we'll dial it in once we're out here. So you can see here, this engine is shut down, so that will help our thrust offset. Now we've just got some center of mass issues, but that's not that big of a deal. Let's extend our solar panel. Okay. This is going to be kind of wild, but sure. It's recoverable. But it got spicy. No doubt about that. So we've got about 400 meters per second to go here, about 45 seconds of burn left. The question is, do we have enough fuel to do a braking burn once we get there? I don't know. As long as we enter an orbit, it's good, right? That's all we need is an orbit. So let's just accelerate this on up. We're going to be done now. Okay, so this is at 125 megometers. So I want to warp forward until we are switching sphere of influence. There we go. Now, sometime around here, we can plan a burn and we can dial this in a little bit. So that's going to be going up. Okay, we lost efficiency there. So now we're going to need to... I think actually we're just going to need to do a little prograde or retrograde. Let's turn the sensitivity down. Okay, so we lost there because we need to do a little bit of inclination now. Okay, that was like 900 kilometers. So that's definite progress. Let's turn the sensitivity all the way down to minimum. We lost progress there, so that means we need a little bit more inclination. 250, 200, 150. That's about 100 kilometers. Okay, execute that. That's only 33.6 meters per second of adjustment. Okay, commence burn now. Okay, that's not exactly where I wanted the burn to be. We can definitely continue to work on getting that in a little closer. Because that is, like I said, not exactly where I wanted this to be. We didn't nail that. Okay, let's just bring this in a little bit more retrograde there. And let's put this right about here. This is 0.5 meter per second. Okay, 108 kilometers. We'll take it. Now the question is, if we warp up over here, do we have enough delta V to do a braking burn up here? That's the question. So we're going to warp up over this direction. Looks good. We're going to switch spheres of influence fairly soon here. Okay. And now we need to, of course, come over here and I don't want to do it here. No. At the periapsis, we're going to want to get ourselves into an orbit. Boom. Right there. 220 meters per second. How much do we have? 809. Okay. So we can bring this down like so. This is too much DV here. We don't have that much. We have 809. So we can put ourselves into this orbit. Now, if we had our parachutes, I would have put us into an aerobrake here, and we would have just come in and aerobraked, used our chutes, and landed. Would have been fine. We don't have the parachute up top. We have our 2 drogues, but we do not have our main chute, so that's not what we're doing. We're just going to come in, we're going to run a rescue mission. So go ahead and run this, and put us into orbit around Drew. Beautiful. Okay, let's slow this right on down. So we're going to burn all of our remaining DV here, including when this is done. So I actually just want to delete this and continue burning. We're going to burn absolutely everything we've got here. And that'll put us into our final orbit. Then we can run a rescue mission, and that will be no big deal from here. So that's fantastic. That'll be a pretty cheap rescue mission as well. So yeah, no problem. We are now out of fuel, and that looks good. This is a great orbit to be in. Next episode, we will do a rescue. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy Magar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Hiro Marutsu, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time, where hopefully it'll be a little less spicy.